32.
It's getting up there
20.
40.
Come to order. Today's meeting of the Municipal Code Enforcement Board is called to order on December 18th, 2024. Welcome, everyone. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Agendas of today's meeting are on the wall at the entrance to chambers. The Municipal Code Enforcement Board consists of 7 members who are appointed by the City Council. We serve voluntarily. It is this board's intention to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Clearwater by providing this equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing certain codes within the city. The board considers new business items in 2 parts. First, the violation, then affirmative relief. Formal rules of evidence do not apply. Each side is limited to 15 minutes. The board may grant additional time. All proceedings will be conducted in a calm, civil manner. Individuals who conduct themselves otherwise will be asked to leave. If necessary, they will be escorted from the chambers. Now, I ask all who plan to speak to please rise and be sworn in by our clerk. All right, our first order of business is to review and approve the minutes of last month's meeting. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Minutes are approved. Is there anyone here to speak on items that are not on the agenda? Please step to the podium, state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the board, I'm Bill Johnson. I did submit a card, although 2694 Redford Court West in Clearwater. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This portion of your agenda allows an opportunity to raise issues not related to your agenda, yet still associated with code enforcement. And I have been concerned with follow-up on code enforcement properties once they have been recorded and the liens are accruing. With the assistance of the building section, I looked specifically at one property that has $1,210,800 pending against it in accrued fines. I further observed that the property was noticed as an unsafe building on April 30th, 2020, in violation of section 47.161 of the Clearwater Community Development Code. With further research, I found that section 47.161 was repealed by ordinance number 9349-20 on January 16, 2020, 3 months before the notice was issued. Thus, the notice never had legal validity. The property today has significant property maintenance issues and needs to be re-noticed and brought back to this board. I wonder how many similar situations exist. Members, I realize that this is outside the purview of this board, but I hope staff will look further at this situation, which I am purposely not publicly disclosing, as its address would be contrary to guidance I've gotten from your attorney about specific cases. In closing, board members, I thank you for your service and the big agenda that you have in front of you today. Your work is important to the general population of Clearwater.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else here to speak? Step forward, give your name and your address, please, for the record.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, board. My name is Colleen McNerney, and I represent the residents at Renaissance Square. Address is 1216 Missouri Avenue. We've come before you, my partner and I, on case number 5324 and 9424, and I understand that these are not agenda items and that limits the scope of the board's ability to act. But in June and July, the board entered orders requiring us to complete repairs by November 1st, 2024, and I come today to give a brief update on those repairs. They are ongoing, but as a result of the hurricanes and the additional scope of repairs that were discovered as Munyon began the construction, we are going to need, or we are requesting an extension of time to complete those repairs. Again, I understand that the board may be limited on its ability to grant said extension, given that we're not an agenda item, but we wanted to come and give an update to the board, let the board know that we are actively under repairs, but that an additional time will be necessary to complete the repairs.
Well, thanks for bringing that to our attention, and if it does come up, we will definitely keep that in consideration.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great
you so
afternoon.
much. You too.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that needs to speak on something that's not on our agenda today? All right, well, let's get right to our first new business item. It is 4.1 on our agenda, continued from August 28th, 2024, case 99-24. Find respondents Jonathan Wade Sr. at 1312 North Madison Avenue in violation of code for portable storage units and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? Inspector Dixon, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Board. Inspector Gregory Dixon, Code Compliance Inspector of the City of Clearwater. This is case 99-24 for 1312 North Madison Avenue. There's one violation at the property for a portable storage unit in a residential zone. Notice of violation was sent out in February with a compliance date in March. We had spoke over the summer, and I was giving him some additional time, and it was scheduled to go to the board, or in front of you in August. We granted him an additional 30 days, and we haven't met since then. It's just a normal pod unit sitting in a backyard. This is at the time of sighting. And then a little bit later on in the year, a fence went up, but the pod stayed. And this is today. So compliance can be met for the portable storage unit by removing the portable storage unit from the property. And we are requesting compliance on or before February 1st, 2025. And if compliance is not met, a fine of $150 per day if compliance is not met.
Did they let you know, is that one that you get from like pods or something, or is it one they plan on keeping there as a shed or something?
No, it's from Pods. He
Oh,
says
is
he
it?
pays for it.
Oh, okay. So it's got an owner somewhere other than them?
Right.
Okay. All right, Board, do you have any questions for Inspector Dixon?
I move to find,
Yes. Go ahead.
Have you spoken with the owner at all?
I have.
Okay, and?
In August, he said he wanted 90 days to get it removed. He wanted to have a garage sale, and I continued the case to September, and then we haven't met. So he's had that additional
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
And it's still there
Yeah.
as of today? Yeah. All right. Any other questions, Board? No?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Move a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion approved.
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before February 1st, 2025. That sounds odd. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day. Each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
And I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved. All right, next case on our agenda is 4.2, continued from August 28th, 2024, case 100-24. Find respondents Torrey D. Taylor at 1118 Palm Bluff Street in violation of code for exterior surfaces in abandoned building, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? Go ahead, Inspector Dixon.
Case 100-24 for 1118 Palm Bluff Street is currently in compliance, so we request a declaration of violation.
It's in compliance. All right, can I get one of those, Board?
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to the affidavit in this case, and the violation is corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion approved. All right, next case is 4.3 on our agenda, case number 113-24, find respondents Teresa M. and James R. Matty at 879 El Dorado Avenue in violation of code for fences and walls, and issue an order with a compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? Inspector Casman, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Board. Daniel Kasman, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 113-24 for 879 El Dorado Avenue. There's one violation here for Code Section 3-808A1 through 6 for fence maintenance. These are the dates the notice of violation was sent out. There were other violations of the property. I have been in contact with the son of the owner. It seems like there were some health issues with the owner, and the son had come down. They'd taken care of the other things, but the fence is still kind of a pervasive issue. You'll see in the photos what happened. So initially, this came as a complaint from the neighbors regarding a gate falling over at the front of the property at 879 El Dorado Avenue. This is when the owner, the mother, was still living there at the time. Like I said, there were some health issues, and then her son eventually came down before the storms and then was there after the storms. In the back, too, there's a bunch of birds of paradise sitting behind a vinyl fence, and they're growing so wide that they're bursting the fence open at the seams. This was back in July. The gate on the front was still broken, and the birds are continuing to grow and burst the back fence. This is just a little bit what it looks like there too, and further down. This is when I posted the notice of the property for today's hearing. And this is what the fence looked like on the 4th. It's starting out, it actually has burst off and maybe ending up on the sidewalk. But the fence up front, but the gate up front was fixed, so.
Some progress.
Yes, and then as of today, as of the 18th, this is still happening. I have tried calling, I've tried leaving messages, I haven't got contact back. But compliance will be met for the fence maintenance by repairing any sections of the fence where it's falling over or damaged. And I'm asking for compliance on or before January 18th, 2025, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violation continue to exist. The city is not opposed if you guys would like to grant additional time, as this did happen at the beach, which was hit the worst with the storms.
Yeah. Board, do you have any questions? I don't have any problem if we want to extend it out, I mean, because of it being down there. I know they got hit really hard.
Yeah.
Add a month.
And he-
February, March?
He did show a little bit of progress by putting the gate up, so, so. You guys have anything you want to add?
Extension.
You want to get an
Yeah.
extension?
A month, 2 months?
What do you think, Board?
March? February?
3 months?
2 months, 3 months?
Let's give him 2 months. Let's give him 60
February?
days.
Yeah, all right.
February. Is that all
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody said?
That worked.
Okay.
February or March, it's January right now, so
Oh.
you're saying 60 days extension. So that would be March.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me on that.
What's that?
It will be March.
If we do an existing day extension from what it is
Yeah.
currently, it'd be March.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
All right.
all right. Board, do you have any questions? How do we want to,
We just do it.
we just do it? Okay, then we'll do it.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion
I
carries.
move to enter an order finding the respondent to correct the violations on or before March 20th, 2025. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, next on our agenda is 4.4, case number 114-24. Find respondents Joseph Peter Sikorsky at 826 Mandalay Avenue in violation of code for exterior surfaces, doors, and window openings and roof maintenance, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that case? No? Inspector Casman, you have the floor.
Good afternoon again, Board. Daniel Kasman, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 114-24 for 826 Mandalay Avenue. There were 3 violations here. Code Section 3-1502B for exterior surfaces, Code Section 3-1502D1, D3, and D4 for roof maintenance, clean roof, and painted roof, and Code Section 3-1502C1, 3, and 4 for door and window maintenance. These are the days the notice of violation was sent out. Again, this was law earlier this year before the storms. I was in contact with the owner. they were making some progress, but they too were hit from the storms, but you'll see the progress in the photos of what it was and what it is now. So this is 826 Mandalay Avenue. It was initially drawn by the roof being fairly dirty. It's a tile roof, ceramic roof. This is on the main home. There was a little bit of dinginess on the exterior, some rust on one of the downspouts for the on the side there. And then when I walk up to the main entrance, there's damage to the fascia and soffits on the overhang over the porch. And then this is a picture of the garage on the side of the property. Same deal, same style, tile roof. Somewhat dirty, a little bit of chipped and peeling paint on the doors, a little bit of dinginess on the exterior. That's a better look at that side of the house there. This was in May. And this is a better picture of the front of the garage. As you see, the garage door, it's painted, there's some design on it, but it's rusting. So I had spoken with the owner, say we just need to clean the roof, clean the rust, clean the exterior of the buildings, and do a little bit of repair to some of the doors and windows. There's also, if you see there at the window next to the garage, it's missing glass panes and it's just an open void. This is in July. I went back. It looks like he has made some attempts to clean, and there was some progress on it, but we just need to continue what was going on. It looks like a repair was made at the bottom of the door. I think a metal panel was added, but it's still chipped and peeling paint on the door itself. That was for the main home. Like I said, it does look a little bit better on the tile roof, but it just needs to be finished with. Same with the garage. Looks like he was able to hit the lower areas. And he attempted to start to paint the garage door black over the rust, but never finished. And this is on the side of the home with the doors. Again, the wood is chipping and peeling. But then near the front, the fashion soffit over the front porch is kind of getting worse and worse with every visit. And that's a better look at the window missing any sort of glass or any sort of innards. And then today, these are photos from today. It's pretty much the same story. There we go. But this is, again, another property that was impacted by the storm. Second. That's what the front right now looks like. I don't know exactly what the owner's plans are going to be for this property. I did meet out with him once after the storm, but I haven't heard from him since.
Are there residents in there now?
I've knocked on it. I don't think he's there right now. There's some items strewn about the yard. I think he was just going through whatever might have survived the storm.
So you don't even know if they've mitigated the interior of it yet? Because that house had to have been flooded where it is.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I said, I haven't heard from him, so I just gotta kind of wait and see. But to come to compliance for these issues, compliance made for the exterior surfaces by removal of all plant materials from the structures, repair of structural damage, repainting where there's chipped and fading, peeling paint, or mildew, algae, or rust. Compliance made for the roof maintenance by repairing all fashion soffits, finishing fashion soffits with paint or covering, cleaning, repairing / repainting of roof tiles. And compliance made for the doors and windows by replacing any missing glass or frames in exterior openings, repairing any damaged doors, and repainting doors. And I was requesting compliance on it before January 18th, 2025, but if the board deems it necessary to grant more time, we would not be opposed to that.
Looks like a lot of repair work needs to be done.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you've not spoken with him recently?
I've tried calling, but he hasn't returned any of my calls, and I haven't seen him at the property lately. I have no idea what his plans might be.
Okay.
Board, do you have any other questions for?
I just make one comment. I don't think there's even an extension, anything's going to be done.
Yeah. It's going to be sold as a lot.
Well, and it may be, one of the other indicators too is that, he's reached out to talk to him that we have no data to go on whatsoever.
Right.
The guy's not calling back, so.
You can't help it.
Okay.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
I move to enter order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before January 18th, 2025. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, next case is 4.5. It's been withdrawn. 4.6 on our agenda is case number 117-24. Find respondents Timothy and Tori Charles at 609 and a half Alden Avenue in violation of code for exterior surfaces and exterior storage, and issue an order with a compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? Please come forward to the podium. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good afternoon. Tori Charles, 1507 Cedar Street, Safety Harbor.
Hi, Ms. Charles. Do you admit or deny the violation today?
As of today, I think I deny,
You deny it?
but they were present. They,
Okay, well, if you'll have a seat right there, we're going to talk to the city, and then we'll bring you back up. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, I would just ask that we also ask her what her relationship is to the property. I don't know if that was already ascertained or not.
Owner.
You're the owner of record on?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Inspector Casman?
Good afternoon, Board. Daniel Kasman, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 117-24 for 609 and a half Alden Avenue. There were two violations here for Code Section 3-1502 G1, 2, and 3, and Code Section 3-1502 B for exterior surfaces. These are the dates of notice of violation of compliance and certified mail. I had been in contact with the owner, Tim Charles. He called me. We had spoken back in May and June about the property and what had to happen there. This was originally going to be brought forth in September, but I believe we did not have that meeting due to the storm that was coming at the time. And this is the first time it's been able to be back on the agenda. So this is 609 and a half Alden Avenue. There's two similar houses on the property, all one parcel. Driving by, I noticed that their washer and dryer was sitting outside. There was some plastic on the side of the building, and when I got to take a closer look, I saw there were some defects in the exteriors of both the structures on the property. This was back in June after I'd already talked with Tim and talked with things that were going to be happening there. Some of the stuff in the exterior was removed, but as I was talking to some of the tenants there, we noticed that there was a lot of stuff still being stored outside and that there was damage to the side of the buildings at the time. And then the plastic out front also was kind of, it's not a proper way for a building. You can't be attaching tarps or plastic to the exterior of a building. This is when, what was this, July? The little bit it was peeling there on the side of the blue building, but when you look on the other side, you can see all the damage to the exterior there. And again, this was right before we were about to go for September's code board. They did obtain permits, but the permits were obtained back in September. This is actually the second time this property is being brought forth to code board. It was brought in 2019 for the same issue, exterior surfaces. There was an inspection done for the Tyvek and the plywood, but the rest of it still has not been finished, and there was a delay in it beginning. But if the owner wants to speak more to that narrative, I'll let them speak more to it. These are the photos from today. Some of it's starting to go up. Some of the hardy board on the exterior, but this is the current state. Compliance will be met for the exterior surfaces by repairing or replacing any damaged wood exterior and repainting, removal of any materials that are not permanent parts of the structure, such as plastic. Everything has to actually be weather grade material, no tarps, no plastic, nothing like that. And compliance will be met for the exterior storage by removing from the grounds or storing indoors any items not meant for outdoor use, such as buckets, cardboard, clothing. I don't mind the chairs, and I don't mind any bicycles being outside or toys. It's just anything else has to be inside. And for this, we're requesting compliance on or before January 18th, 2025, or a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day the violation is continued to exist.
All right. Board, do we have any questions for Inspector Casman?
Should we make the first motion then? Get that done?
Yeah, we can go ahead and make the first motion.
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
You do.
You do. This is,
I'm not sure if she admitted or denied.
she denied it
She did.
That she has the right to speak before you make your...
before we make any motions?
If
Okay.
she denies the violation, then we
Okay.
would ask that she be heard before you make that motion.
Thought she had died tonight.
All right.
We're going to have a school.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll get Mr. Casman, if you'll have a seat. Ms. Charles, you can come back up, please.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm not familiar with the process here. Just wanted to say, as you can see from the photos and as he says, we have obtained the permit. As you all know, we have been through 2 major hurricanes, but even prior to that, it's difficult to find a contractor in our community to take on a small project like this because there's so many big projects out there that need their attention. We were finally able to get somebody to take on the project. We pulled the permits and started process, and he has worked his butt off trying to get us in compliance before this hearing. We thought by having the first inspection that, after speaking with Daniel, that was going to make this kind of go away temporarily, of course, upon completion, because we do have an open permit. However, Daniel said it doesn't go away until the permit's signed off. Unfortunately, that's just not possible. He's worked really hard. My husband's even been out there helping him try to get this taken care of, but we're not quite there yet. As far as the second time coming before the board, just for the record, unfortunately, during a storm a while ago, neighbor's tree fell on our roof, requiring it to be replaced. Baker's Roofing came out, replaced the roof. Unfortunately, these homes are the lap siding, and the old metal roofs come over about 6 inches. That keeps the water from running down the side of the building or the home. When Baker replaced our roof, he didn't do that. With a shingle roof, it came right up to the end, kind of that's it. So what happens is the water it's like a waterfall right down the side of the house, which then caused the lap siding to rot very quickly because of the water damage, because that water is going to fall into every little nook and cranny in that siding, which kind of exasperated the situation very quickly. Out of frustration, I argued and fought with him. Ultimately, it's my problem. I understand. But it's still frustrating as a property owner that it falls on me financially as well. After paying him for the roof, I now have to pay for the siding to be replaced. So I did drag my feet in frustration, trying to get him to accept responsibility and fix what he needed to. He didn't. I'm here. I'm fixing it now. We've pulled the permit. We've gotten our first inspection. We're moving forward. The area with the bicycles and stuff, that is, just for the record, in the backyard. It's not in the front yard. These are older homes. They're actually original cottages from Clearwater Beach, brought over town when the railroad came through in the 1920s. So these homes are 100 years old. Simple little shotgun houses. Across the street is a homeless refuge. I'm not sure exactly what the title is, but it's a homeless refugee across the street. We have a east-west facing, so the front porches face the west. What happens, that afternoon sun comes right in there. So yes, there are tenants that have been living there for 10 years. They do periodically will put up plastic tarps or whatever that their budget will allow to block that afternoon sun from beating down on their front porches, as well as the homeless people across the street will often wander onto their property and onto their porches and help themselves to items that are out there that are visible. So that's the other reason that they tend to kind of shade or block their porches from the homeless people in the community. Not to say it's not proper, but that's just the reasoning behind it. They have since removed everything. The plastic is still there on the one. The tenant and I have disagreed on it. I have said, whatever Daniel tells me is what you're gonna do. She says Daniel said it could stay. I said it goes. I said, whatever you tell me today is gonna happen today. So if you want it gone, I'll be happy to go and tell her it needs to be gone. She calls it decorative curtains. You tell me. That's it. We're gonna finish it up, and it's not gonna be a problem. I'm probably gonna have to put a second roof on the house in question where the baker did not do it properly. But again, that's gonna be on me, unfortunately. So we're in compliance as much as we can. We're asking for 60 more days to finish up.
Board, do you have
I
any
mean,
questions?
we've gotten our first inspection. The contractor said, though, he's got to take a break and catch up on some of his other projects because he, really focused on us to get us to the point of the first inspection before today. So, but he says he will finish up the first of the year.
So you think you get, within 60 days, you think
Oh,
you can get it?
yeah, I don't think Daniel had mentioned 30, but I'm not comfortable with 30, knowing that the contractor said I have to step away and finish up my other projects.
You have 30 now until the 18th of January, but.
I just don't want to come back before you again.
Yeah.
I like you guys
So
and all, but I just don't want to have to come back. So
So-
if you could give me till February, that way I know for sure we'll be done.
February 26th?
And I don't think it'll be a problem again because we're replacing with the hardy board. And so that hopefully will resolve the problem.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Eagle.
The house with the plastic, that's your house too as well?
We own them. They're rental homes. So if it was my own home, I could have went out there and did the work myself. But because I don't live in it, I can't pull a homeowner's permit. Therefore, I had to get a contractor to do
Yeah,
it.
but you do.
I do own it, yes, sir.
So you're responsible for it?
Yes, sir. And that's what I
Okay.
said.
I would
Whatever
su-
you guys say
Wait just a minute.
goes.
I would suggest you tell your tenant, she doesn't write the codes. The city does that. So what she says Daniel says is not true. And what she says, does it go? is what
No,
she
and that's
said.
why, that's exactly
Yeah.
what I told her.
I'm not saying you said that.
No.
I would say, I'm suggesting you tell her that, that she has no say on that plastic and tar
Right.
staying up.
Exactly. So whatever you guys decide is fine, but keep in mind again of the homeless refugee across the street. I mean, we're talking 20 feet. So you have them at any given time out there hanging out, loitering 24 hours a day. And so whatever they see on my porch or their porches, they seem to help themselves
But if
to.
you had to correct
I'm
covering
gonna
up there,
correct
that
it.
wouldn't happen.
If we took I don't know that the plastic makes a difference either way to deter the homeless people from coming
Well,
onto
it's
their
not
porches.
going to. It's
It does to a
plastic.
minimum because it keeps them from visually seeing what's on the porch.
But that's not the point. It's not supposed to be there to start with.
Correct. But I was letting you know why it's there.
Well, that doesn't matter.
You don't care why it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Ju-
fine.
Just to clarify for the board, you admit that you're in violation currently, but you're asking for more time to correct it.
For the siding, correct.
Thank you.
I have a question. Yeah, go ahead. Your permit that's been pulled, that was
Yes.
by your contractor, what's on that permit for correction?
The siding? Siding?
Just siding?
Mhm.
And so, was there a permit pulled for the other contractor for the roof?
No, because at this time, the roof isn't an issue. The roof is fairly
No, I
new.
understand.
It's not an issue, but he said once the siding is up, if we feel an additional roofing is gonna need to be done.
And
We
what's
don't
the-
know until the siding is up and whether or not that water is gonna trickle down still, or whether or not we have to go back and put a new roof on. That's to be determined in the future. But it's got a great roof on it now. It's just the design of it is different than
Okay.
what the building should have had.
And what's the value of the repairs on your permit?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure. But it's getting done, either way. The permit's pulled and it's getting done.
It does need to be.
I'm not sure the value on it. I would say within $1,000 or so, whatever the hardy board is costing.
Okay. Any other questions, board?
Do we just want to do a continuance?
Well, we can,
You could do it either way. You can do a motion, find the violation that exists, and then give the period of time that they're requested.
Period of time.
To correct.
we can do that.
Now you can do much.
We'll go ahead
I
and,
mean, it's no longer, it's sealed now. There's no more rotting wood, as you can see from the pictures. It's wrapped in tie wrap.
okay.
So the rotting wood is not present anymore. There
Well,
are no
we're-
washing machines out front anymore. The only thing that's left is the plastic, and again, that was she says, Daniel said it was okay. I said, I'm gonna, whatever you guys decide.
For
So-
what this has, for the reason that you're here, we're going to find you in violation. Now we're going to give you until the 26th of February, which is 60 days, a little more than 60 days to get it all complete, which you said you can do that.
So what am I in violation of? The plastic?
I'd have to see the pictures again,
Okay.
yeah. Well,
I just wanted to know so when I.
the plastic is still there, so you'll still be in violation unless you take the
Right,
plastic down.
right, and
But
that's
the
what I
other
mean.
thing.
And the siding's not done yet.
Yeah, the siding's
Siding
not
has to
done.
be
You were in
done.
violation of the siding. It's not complete yet, but we're gonna give you 60 days and before we ever hit you with any kind of fines or anything else.
But even though the permit allows for 6 months,
Mr.
not that I need 6 months.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
If I may, the code that was cited is the city's property maintenance code, and in reference to the exterior surfaces.
Okay.
And it doesn't have an exception for open active permits.
Okay.
It just says that, I'll read right from the code for you. It says that all exterior surfaces shall be protected from the elements by paint or other protective covering applied and maintained according to manufacturer's specifications, and otherwise treated in a consistent manner. So the way the city interprets that is that you can't just have a wrap on the building. You've got to have siding, and it's got to be
Gotcha.
installed per manufacturer's spec in order to be in compliance with the code.
But before any fines or anything are ever gonna occur, just because we find you in violation, nothing is going to happen today, but you'll I know, it's like, I understand the violation, you know, but you'll have until the 26th if they approve it, of February, which is, like you said, 60 more days to have it done and everything. And just stay in touch with Daniel.
Right, and we have.
If something comes
He's been
up,
very good.
you know, and you might not meet that 60-day deadline,
Right.
you know, let Daniel know. He'll come back to us and we'll get it all taken care of.
Okay.
All right?
Make sure you know with Daniel, your permit's not good for 6 months.
It is. It's
It
good
is.
for
It
six,
is?
it's good for 6
Since
months from the date of issuance
Yep.
or from the last inspection. Like if they, on a
Okay.
construction project, if it
Okay,
goes,
then I rescind my statement.
All right, can I get a,
I move to find the respondent
yeah, go ahead.
in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Have a second?
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I move to enter an order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before February 26, 2025. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation. And for each day, each violation continues to exist, if fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. All right, 4.7 on our agenda has been withdrawn. Our next case is 4.8, case number 121-24. Fine respondents Tiago Alencar at 917 Pinellas Street in violation of code for short-term rental and residential business tax receipt, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? All right, Ms. Green, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Board. This property is returned to compliance. We're seeking a declaration of violation.
All righty.
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code too, as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed. If the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine of up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion approved. Next case is 4.9 on our agenda, case 122-24, fined respondents Boris Zeller at 305 Baker Avenue in violation of code for short-term rental and residential business tax receipt, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? Ms. Green, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, Board. Sarah Green, Code Compliance Supervisor for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 122-24 for 305 Baker Avenue. There are 2 violations for an illegal short-term rental and a residential rental business tax receipt required. Notice of violation was sent earlier in the year in February. It was then posted in June after I received no response from the owners, with compliance dates in March and July, and served mail was received unclaimed. Back in February, this was supposed to come to the board in September, and then we haven't met for it since then. This is what the Airbnb page looks like for 305 Baker Avenue. I blew this one up so you can see it. Back in February, it was set to a 6-night minimum. In March and in June, it was set to a 7-night minimum. I highlighted it here so you can see. In July, after the second compliance date, it was still set to 7 nights, and in August, it was set to 7 nights minimum. In September, it was set to 7 nights minimum. In October, it was still at a 7 nights minimum. And then this month and today, it's still set at a 7 nights minimum. Still renting under the monthly allowable rental limit within the city of Clearwater.
And so this has been going back to,
Yes, I've had no contact with the
contact.
owners at all.
so the original filing was back at the, so that's, wow, it's like 6 months or something.
Yeah. Compliance can be met for the legal short-term rental by ceasing to short-term rent the property and update all rental pages to reflect a monthly minimum night stay requirement, or by removing the rental listings. And compliance can be met for the residential rental business tax receipt by applying for residential rental BTR and getting approved. Requesting compliance on before January 18th, 2025. I'm asking for a fine of $150 per day for the illegal short-term rental and $50 a day for the lack of BTR, totaling $200 per day for each day the violations continue to exist.
Are they still advertising online?
Yeah. It was just as today, she had it up. And no contact at all?
Nope.
Wow.
We've posted the property. I've tried calling the number that's on utilities. Got nothing.
Nothing, did not.
All right.
Mr. Chair, if I may, since we have a couple of new board members, I do want to clarify for the short-term rentals that the way that the city code is set up is if it's a single-family zoned neighborhood, the only use that's allowed in that area is single-family housing. So that is what the violation is that this is a use that's not consistent with that. There's another code provision in Clearwater Code that creates a presumption of not residential use, and that's where the 30 days in the advertisement comes in. That code says that if you're advertising for rental period less than 30 days, then it's presumed that you're not using the property for residential use. And so that's why when you'll see these cases, we present the advertisements, because that creates the presumption that it's not a residential use. So I know it's a little bit tricky there, but hopefully you follow that, and that's the basis of the case.
Thank you, Counsel. Board, do you have any questions for Ms. Green? No? Can I get a
I
motion?
move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion approved.
I move to order a fine requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before January 18, 2025. The respondent did not comply by that date. The order may order a fine of $150 per day for the illegal short-term rental and $50 a day for the lack of BTR, totaling $200 a day for each day the violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, next case on our agenda is 4.10, case number 147-24, fine respondents Zermjay Enterprises LLC at 1472 Gulf to Bay Boulevard in violation of code for exterior surfaces, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? Inspector Dixon, you have the floor.
1472 Gulf to Bay is currently in compliance, so just seek a declaration of
Okay.
violation, please.
Can I get a declaration, Board?
I move to find the respondent was in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case. The violation was corrected prior to today's hearing, and to enter an order that no fine be imposed if the respondent repeats the violation, the board may order a fine up to $500 for each day the violation continues to exist.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, our next agenda item 4.11 has been withdrawn. 4.12 has been withdrawn. 4.13, case number 150-24, fine respondents Carucci Development at 51 Verbena Street in violation of code for abandoned building, and issue an order with compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No? Inspector Casman, you have the floor.
Sorry about that, Board.
It's okay.
Your timing was perfect.
All right. Good afternoon, Board again. Daniel Casman, Code Enforcement Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is case number 150-24 for 51 Verbena Street in Clearwater, Florida. There's one violation here for Code Section 3-1503A, B1, B2, B3, and B9 for abandoned building. This is the definition of abandoned building. Abandoned building means a building or structure that is deserted by the owner and left unsecured, or that is not maintained. Evidence of desertion and lack of maintenance shall include but not be limited to unaddressed code violations, lack of required building permits or certificate of occupancy, lack of business tax receipt, or lack of active utilities. These are the days the notice of violation was sent out. I also posted the property at the same time. As you'll see from the photos, this is just a block building with no roof, nothing happening there. The mail and property appraiser is sent directly to this location. So I posted it the same day I sent out the notice of violation, and I did also post it with the notice of hearing. This is 51 Verbena Street, if anyone's ever been there around the beach. This is back in 2023. I think this is about the third time I've cited the property. The owner sold the property to a different development group and then bought it back 3 months later. I cited him, cited the development group, and then cited him again, as the owner had changed twice. This is what it looks like now in 2024. There is a building permit on the property from 2021 that is reactivated every 6 months. It's currently expired again. It was to add, I believe, a second addition onto the property. I'm not sure what the owner's intent is. I've never gotten any contact from anyone. The only person I was ever able to get in contact with is actually the second owner, who he sold it to and then later bought it back from. This is just showing the utilities. Obviously, there's no active utilities there, but this is just proof in our utility system. This is back in July, same issue. Usually, I have cited it several times for the lot clearing. Usually gets taken care of. This was the affidavit of posting. This was, again, I think a property that was supposed to go in September, but due to the storms, we had to push it to today. Now, that's just not a look of what was happening at the time. This is in July. No difference after the compliance date. Nothing had changed. There's no work being done. And this was the notice of hearing for today's hearing on the 4th of this month. Just to show, the permit was expired on the 13th, and you can see the several fees of just reactivating the permit, like I said, every 6 months just to keep it active. And this is, again, utilities. Obviously, there's nothing happening there. And this is what it looks like today on the 18th. Still the same state. No one's tried to call me about it. And again, utilities are off, and the permit is still expired at the property. So for compliance to be met for the abandoned building at 51 Verbena, I'm reactivating or applying for permits and for work to actually begin at the property, or demolish the structure and just maintain the lot as a grass lot. And I'm requesting compliance here before January 18th, 2025, or a fine of $250 per day for as long as the violation continues to exist.
That's just a major eyesore. Golly.
All right, board, do you have any questions for Inspector Cashman?
Mr. Chair, I do also want to just point of clarification here that this is something that's come up with in abandoned buildings in the past, but the code prohibits an abandoned building, period. And then it gives you several factors to consider in your determination of whether or not it is in fact abandoned. And lack of utilities, expired permits, those things are part of the equation, but they're not dispositive one way or the other. So we have in the past, for example, had where folks, they'll turn the utilities on and now we're in compliance, but I just want to clarify that that's not exactly what our code says, and we're asking, and Mr. Kavman has specified that work needs to actually begin. So just because they go and reactivate their permit will not automatically transform that building.
That's what I was going to ask you
no longer
before
an
we-
abandoned building. So
was
we do
gonna
want
ask
to make
that.
that abundantly clear, just in case we're back later in process talking about this again.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask that question to you, if the permit's being reactivated, did anything to keep it from going into the abandoned building?
It's a factor to consider. We're telling you right now that we're not going to consider that compliance unless there's actually work occurring.
Exactly.
Of course, they will be able to come back if an affidavit of noncompliance is filed and we have to come back in front of the board because we're getting ready to lien. They're entitled to be here at that time and argue otherwise, but it'll be our position that a permit alone will not make this no longer an abandoned building. There will need to be visible progress.
Yep, I agree.
Could
Board,
I-
go ahead.
Could I see the definition again of an abandoned building? I saw an "and" in there. Lack of, does it say "and"?
Do you want me to reread it to you, or you?
Lack of active utilities.
See, it's a building that is not maintained, period.
Right.
It's
And
deserted,
then it
it's
says
unsecured.
evidence of, and then shall include, so.
It's lack of maintenance, I
Right.
can see 3 right there.
Yeah, I'm looking at a combination of things which indicates more than just activated utilities.
Yeah.
It's like it's a combination of things that make it an abandoned building. And so, to me, that means that all of these factors have to be addressed for
Yep.
consideration of change of.
Yep, we can't just pick and choose which ones they want to do and get it out,
Precisely.
or get it back in compliance.
I
All
don't
right.
understand why it was sold to a developer and then bought back.
I don't know.
God only knows.
Who knows? Money thing, probably.
I mean, I
don't
could see it
know.
if it was in a habitable building, but it's not even hardly there.
Board, do we have any more questions about this one?
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion approved.
I move to enter order requiring the respondent to correct the violations on or before January 18, 2025. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $250 per day for violation for each day each violation continues to exist, and fines and fees remain unpaid, 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 4.14, 4.15, and 4.16 on our agenda have been withdrawn. And 4.17 has been withdrawn also. So we are on to 4.18, case number 155-24. Find respondents Robert E. Cox at 1204 Clare Drive in violation of code for unsafe building and issue an order compliance with the compliance deadline and fine if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that case? Nope. Inspector Berg, or Inspector Narden, you have the floor.
Thank you. You can just pull it up here. Thank you. There we go. All right, good afternoon, Board. Inspector, John Narden, Building Inspector. We've got a case here, number 154-24 at 1204 Clare Drive. We've got one violation of the building here, Section 3-1502 for property maintenance requirements, and Section 3-1503 for nuisances. The original notice of violation was sent out on August 1st of 2024, with the compliance date being 27 days after the receipt of the notice. The certified mail was returned unsigned on August 8th, or August 12th, 2024. I had posted the property the day of creating the notice of violation, and so that was, as you can see, the same day of the notice. The notice of hearing was posted at the property August 27th of 2024, but was postponed because of the hurricanes. The new notice was sent out the 4th of this month for today's hearing. And Nicole had sent the request for hearing certified mail, and that was not signed for, so we had posted the property here on the 4th. This is a location of the property. You can see here, marked on the map, where we're sitting here, right along Stevenson's Creek, just off of North Betty Lane. This property had been to the board before with Inspector Dixon for exterior surfaces, and you can see the property was pretty beat up. This was back on the 1st of August in 2024. And you can see the roof's been collapsed in there. We got a lot of growth inside the property. We had open plywood that had been busted open. That was an old garage that must have been converted at one point. And it's just a pretty dilapidated property here. Closer picture, you can see inside, even better so here. That's the interior of the home.
That's inside?
That's inside.
Wow.
That's through the window of what used to be the garage.
Jungle room.
Yeah.
That's a knockdown.
Yep.
This is a recent picture of the affidavit of posting and request for hearing, just on the column here to the left of the door. And for compliance to be met, is to have a licensed contractor obtain and complete required permitting for any repairs necessary. Recommendation would be 4 months. Apply, obtain, and complete permitting for any necessary repairs by April 18th, 2025, for a fine of $150 per day. The violation continues to exist.
Have you heard anything out of the owners at all?
I had one phone call. It's been probably five months or so. It was less than that. About the time that I had sent the case out, about 4 months ago. And I had received a call from Michelle Dawkins, and she was trying to get ownership changed from the property. The fellow that had lived there had passed away. And she was going to work on changing the ownership over so that she could decide whether she was going to demo or bring the property, rebuild the property.
Did that ever get, do you know if that ever got completed?
No.
So it's still in deceased man's name?
Yes.
So who are we gonna levy the liens against her?
Well, the liens will go up against the property,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
for the
whoever ends
next
up with
owner.
the property will
Oh,
have to
okay.
deal with it.
Yeah, okay.
And I actually had meant to change this to just obtain permitting, not to complete the permitting, but just to, for compliance, just obtain the permitting for this.
April, by April. Board, do you have any questions? Yeah?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
my question, you're requesting, you've got a date of
April.
April 18th out there. Why so long if there's been no communication? I mean, why, I don't understand why that would be.
I figured time with storms, we need a couple of months there. But you're right, there has been no communication. We could draw that back if you think less time would be more appropriate.
And this has been going on how long?
This was, the original notice was sent back out of August 1st this year, 2024.
Bring it back,
Before the storms.
January 18th.
Yeah, I mean, from my viewpoint, I
I
mean,
would
if there's
too.
no communication
Yeah.
And there's
and
not gonna
nothing,
be
then.
any-
Look for action
then
instead of
why
inaction.
let it sit there that long and be what it is?
I agree. I agree.
The board can choose whatever time period you want to give.
Yep.
Board, do we have any other questions? But I think, yeah, I think we should
January, yeah.
reel it into January,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yep.
I would
Okay.
agree.
And,
I move to find the respondent in violation of the code as referred to in the affidavit in this case.
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I move
Motion approved.
to enter an order requiring the respondents to correct the violations on or before January 18th, 2025. If the respondent does not comply by that date, the board may order a fine of $150 per day per violation for each day each violation continues to exist. If fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien was filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. On to old business items. These are, accept the affidavits of compliance listed for case on our 5.1.1, 5.1.2, 5.1.3, 5.1.4, 5.1.5, 5.1.6, 5.1.7, 5.1.8, 5.1.9, and 5.1.10. Can I get a
Have it open.
I move to
affidavit?
accept the affidavits of compliance as listed.
Have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, that motion carries. On to 5.2 has been withdrawn. 5.3 on our agenda, case 56-24, accept the affidavit of noncompliance for respondents Clearwater Res Trust, Fick and James R. Trey at 1608 North Osceola for exterior surface, roof maintenance, and abandoned building. Inspector Casman, is there anybody here to speak on that?
I'm
Yes. We don't, do we need to hear,
No.
we don't need to hear from you, Inspector Casman?
No.
No? Okay.
I move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance in order to issue to impose fines and fees and states that fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed. The city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 5.4 has been continued until January, even though it's not marked on the agenda like that. 5.5 is continued from November to January also. And 5.6, case number 88-24, accept the affidavits of noncompliance for respondents Future Tech Career Institute at 1803 Sunset Drive for landscape encroachment and private walkways. Anybody here to speak on that one case? Nope. Can I get
I
a
move to accept the affidavit of noncompliance and issue an order to impose as fines and states if fines and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, and other board action, 6.1 on our agenda, case 58-24. Consider the request by petitioners Jingbei Wang at 20 Windward Island to reduce the fine RE short-term rental, and if approved, issue an order that specifies a fine that includes the administrative cost and establishes a date payable, or the lien will revert to its original amount. Is there anyone here to speak on that case? Please come forward.
Yeah, this is.
State your name and address for the record, please.
This is one of these, right? Yeah.
Just that one.
My name is Jim Bai Wang,
Yes.
and the address is 200 Windward Island, Clearwater. Yeah. So I received a phone call from my neighbor Joe, who is here today. Thank you for coming today. Saying that I was.
We've seen him a few times here.
Okay, so he complains about me all the time. Anyway, so he said that we got the what do you call it? Anyway, so we accumulated fines over $10,000 and so on and so forth. So I acted immediately and contacted the tenant and contacted Sarah and tried to get things addressed. Before that, actually, Sarah and I had the communication. So Sarah told me that she got my email from Daniel, because Daniel also handled a few complaints on our property. But every time we acted very promptly. So this time, apparently, we did not receive the notice. We were not properly served. Actually, since the beginning of the year, we got a complaint by our neighbors about short-term rental, and the county contacted us, and county sent a letter to us, and we also got a communication from Sarah afterwards. The county did get our address correctly. It was our primary residence before, but then we stayed with our sons and the grandson too long. My second son, Basil, who serves the National Guard, who had two children already, and he was not home. Most of the times he was not home, so we stayed with them more than staying at his home. So the county basically forced us to give up the homestead. So that's not our correct address to send the communications to. So we realized that this case, serious case, after Joe contacted us. So apparently it was posted on our property, as Joe told us a couple of times, but we did not know. But regardless, after we knew it, I came over here and stayed for 2 months trying to get the things straight out, but because of hurricane and so on and so forth. So this is the first opportunity I attended this meeting. So,
Go ahead.
So I do request that. I try to actually I communicated with Sarah saying that we live in Austin, Texas, and as far as I know, not a long short-term rental was ruled against by the federal court against a few cities, including Tampa, as unconstitutional. So, of course, I did not know the status, what is going on with the city of Clearwater. So every time I got a complaint, I would talk to my client. I said, okay, the Clearwater did not allow any shorter than 1 month. So every time he said, okay, he was going to change it to 1 month. So apparently he did not do that. So in the end, he gave up the rental. So we took it over around the 15th of August. That's right after I got the call from Joe. So
Are you guys back in the house now?
Yeah, well, it's not livable right now because of the storms.
But you're not renting, it's not being rented out to anyone?
No, for the past 3.5 years, it had been vacant all the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time, not all the time. Most of the times, we are paying like between 20,000 and 30,000 for the taxes and the insurance and the utility and everything. Of course, we try to cover some expenses. It's why we try to rent it out the short term, not short term, I mean, shorter term than 1 year, so that we could come back to stay there. And Mom is here, but she lives very far from the house. She lives in Pinellas County, I mean, the Pinellas area, South Tampa. So,
Well, your tenant that you had in there, Mr. Adias, he didn't do you any favors by, renting it out short term. So he's gone now, right?
he was gone as of August 15th or sometime around that.
You might have to do a little more due diligence in writing in your next lease if you do rent it to someone, no subleases of any kind, maybe.
We did agree, actually, we did agree on that with the tenant. We said that if you want, if we are fined, you need to pay for the.
But you being out in Texas, you don't know what's going on back here in Clearwater, so that's what he was.
Every time if we knew anything else from Joe.
The neighbors will keep him in line.
Yeah.
What is our total cost?
Of course, Daniel went out a couple of times, and Sarah had a few communications.
Total costs are $1,421.20.
And what's the total fine amount?
$11,400.
11,400?
Yes.
And the administrative was what?
$1,421.20.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
How long has this been going on? When did this first start?
Is that a question for staff or just for clarification? For the
He was,
property owner?
No, it's not for the property owner, it's for the, I guess, for the staff. When did this start?
February.
It was found in violation, I believe, in Code Word in May, and they complied in mid-August.
Of what year?
2024.
It only started this year? Okay.
This is the dock, is it? Remember it had a dock? It is?
If it started in May, and we're at 11,400 already, or is that 250 per day for that period?
It was 150 per day. It started in February.
Was this the one with the dock also? That the dock was all, okay, I remember this place now.
Can I ask further?
Yeah.
Do we want, is it appropriate for us to hear from the neighbor?
It's absolutely appropriate to
Good.
hear what the
I would-
city's position is if they want to present it.
Yeah, I would like to hear from the neighbor, if we may.
Oh, the neighbor, I'm sorry, yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
From the city perspective, I guess I would just say that the comments about the litigation and that sort of thing, and that was applicable to the City of Austin ordinance and not the City of Clearwater's ordinance, and the ordinances are different. Austin was prohibiting short-term rentals unless they were owner-occupied, and the court found that was a violation of the city's ability to regulate interstate commerce. So it's a completely different situation
Thank you.
Than what we have here in Clearwater. Our ordinance is legally valid and enforceable and different than the one that was in front of the court in the Austin case. In terms of the fine reduction, we are entitled by the code to get at minimum our costs for investigating the case when we request that, so that it's not an expense to the city to have these cases. Whether or not we go above the costs, I defer to the staff if they have a position on that, but the code does require you to consider the actions taken by the violator, the gravity of the violation, which is the impact on the neighborhood and that sort of thing. So as long as you're considering those factors, I don't really have an objection. I would defer to staff if they had some reason why they would ask for something above the costs.
You want to come step to the podium? State your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Joe Switter. I'm at 206 Windward Island. I'm a neighbor of Mr. J.B. Wang's. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you all. I'm gonna talk in deference to what Mr. Wang had told you. I think the only truth that he said to you is that I got in touch with him in August of that year, which is true. I've been a neighbor of Mr. Wang's for 6 years, and this is not the first, second, third, or fourth incident I've had with him, including docks, trash in his yard, a tree hanging over into my yard, et cetera, and everything gets pushed off. With respect to this case here, this started January 1st of this year, where he rented his property out. They subletted it. They subletted a three-bedroom home, ranch-style home, to sleep 19 people. 19 people. You could imagine what we were getting over there. I have text messages back and forth to Mr. Wang starting in February of this year, advising him of what was going on. His text messages, he basically put his head in the sand. Started out with, no, that it's not happening, they told me they didn't do it, to, they're doing it, but they're only doing it part-time, to, maybe you could help me stop them do this, and I'm working with the city right now, which was nonsense. The impact it had on our neighborhood, you can imagine what we were getting over there with 19 people. You can imagine. This domestic disturbances with the own renters calling against themselves. Okay, wild parties in the backyard. I saw a father smoking marijuana from a bong this big in front of his 12-year-old daughter and in front of my kids. Okay, and I said to him at that time, I said, sir, do you realize what you're doing here? He said, well, I have a medical card. And I said, but do you understand what you're doing here? Well, I have a medical card. Didn't get what I was trying to say. I made Mr. Wang aware of this on various occasions. Okay, there were signs posted in his front yard. For him to tell you he wasn't aware is not true. Sarah contacted him. I contacted him. I've got the text messages to prove it. Him contacting me back. He put his head in the sand. He didn't care about the impact it had on his house, the neighborhood, or his neighbors, because he doesn't care about any of it. Okay, I don't dislike Mr. Wang. He's a pleasant man. He's just an inconsiderate neighbor, in my opinion. And I don't want to be here. I shouldn't have to be here at all. I shouldn't have to be here for this. But I ask you not to show him leniency, because the only reason he's here is because he got caught. That's it. That's it. This has been 12 months for me and the other neighbors that showed up here. We shouldn't have had to go through this. This should have been a 12-minute discussion. That's it. So that's all I've got. I'm sorry it's come to this, but I ask that you show him no leniency whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Staff, do you have a position on this? Because I do remember this case coming before us many times.
Yeah, staff doesn't, we don't necessarily want to take a stance on whether or not you should reduce or not, although I just want to remind you this is an irreparable violation. You can't go back and unrent a property.
All right.
Additionally, Rebecca, code manager, just want to also state that this property, we do have record that he was noticed by us properly. There was mention in his testimony that he was improperly noticed. We do have documentation of that notice and followed our city procedure for proper notice. If the county property appraiser is not properly updated on where he now resides, that's something that the property owner is responsible for doing. We have the responsibility of sending notices to what is listed within the property appraiser. Additionally, we do have communications between Ms. Green and the property owner confirming after you guys found this property in violation that providing a time limit to get this corrected or fines would start. So he was aware of the timeline that was already given to him by this board to come into compliance after it was found in violation. So just to clarify, because of those, he did make statements in his testimony, so I did want to clarify those items.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe we stick with the fine. The full fine.
Yeah.
Ward, what's your positions on this?
The full fine.
Throw the whole book at him.
Excuse me, could I say something?
Mr. Wang, you've already perjured yourself already, so you can say whatever you want to say, but let's make sure you're speaking the truth.
Yes, I'm speaking. I will only speak the truth. Yes, we heard about the complaints, and we also work with the city and the county and with our tenant. Was it a push back? Probably because we are remote, because we are busy with our grandsons. I mean, pushed a little bit time-wise. It's not we push back the issue. Time-wise, we did push a little bit because we were busy. And I actually spent 2 months here after the August 15th, and to just try to attend one of these meetings.
All right, anything else, sir? All right. All right, board, what are we thinking here?
Based on the testimony.
I mean,
it's difficult for me to justify a fine reduction.
Correct.
Based on everything I've heard. I don't see much in the way of mitigating circumstances.
Okay, let's.
We have a motion for that.
Yeah.
No.
No.
That's to reduce it.
What's this one?
No, those are both reductions. I move, I'll just say,
Do
I
we
move
have-
to enter order enforcing
deny?
the amount of the lien of 11,400.
All we have to do is deny their request
Oh,
for a reduction.
I enter a motion to deny the request for a reduction of.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right. Next on our agenda is 6.2, case number 36-12. Consider the request by petitioners Nicolo Tarantini at 505 North Garden to reduce the fine, RE door and window openings, and if approved, issue an order that specifies a fine that includes administrative costs and establishes a date payable, or the lien will revert to its original amount. Is there anyone here to speak on this?
Good afternoon.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Nicolo Tarantini, 911 East 15th Avenue, Tampa, Florida.
What's going on, Mr. Tarantini?
6'2"?
There's a running fine dating back to 2012.
$465,000.
Yes. So the property was owned by a gentleman of the name Willie Holmes. He died in 2011. 2012 was around the time the lien started accumulating. Apparently, he didn't have any, I think he was estranged from his family, so there was really no one to take over responsibility for the home. So I think people were breaking into it, smashing windows, this type of thing, leaving garbage on it. So it started to accumulate some fines, some of which are hard costs, but then this running fine for the $400 and something thousand. But when I took ownership of it, we got the property into compliance pretty quickly. I believe there's an affidavit from 2016 or 17 of compliance, and it's, to my knowledge, there's not been any violations since that time.
So it was, all these fines accrued between what dates now?
So, I don't know exactly the,
When did you purchase the property?
2016.
2016?
Yeah.
And
brought it immediately into compliance.
Let's see, what's it? 8 years. And the original was back in '08? Is that when the original violation?
He died in 11, and they started in 2012.
So for 4, so it was ongoing for 4 years before you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, now, did you know about these liens when you purchased the property? I mean, that would have been something that you would have, so.
Aware of them.
So what was, like, your thought on how you were going to take care of those liens once you purchased the property?
Well, generally, I mean, every municipality has its own process, but generally, there is a lien reduction process to which you can make sure that the property is in compliance, do some sort of application. Like, for example, in the city of Tampa, there's a cap, I think it's $1,000 a year, how much the fines can accumulate. St. Petersburg, for example, has a process that you can go through and you have to go beyond bringing it in compliance. You have to really fully renovate the property nicely, but then they come and do an inspection, and after, once they approve it, they wipe the liens completely. So everyone kind of does.
You were going to just.
It's certainly
hope
a
for the
risk.
lien reduction when you bought it?
Well, I'm sorry?
You were just like hoping for the lien reduction when you bought it back in 16?
Yeah, certainly. But also one thing to consider is it was a homestead property, so there is a homestead protection element to it.
Questions?
Go ahead.
So
This property's been in compliance since 2017, right?
It has been, per the city's records, it's been in compliance since then?
since August 31st, 2017.
Okay, so my next question would be, if it was in compliance in 2017, why nothing before then? Just out of curiosity, nothing.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a great answer for it. It just, wasn't necessarily aware of the process and.
Are you selling the property this time? Is this why it's come up?
No, it's not currently for sale. There's a tenant in there, but I figured it really needs to be resolved.
Okay.
Do you have
When-
plans to
when-
sell it?
Someday, I'm sure eventually. It won't be forever, but yeah, not right now, not
Okay.
in
So-
the immediate future.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's all right. When did you buy the property?
16.
Well, I don't remember the exact date of purchase, but it was in I think the latter month of 2016, I believe,
Okay.
or maybe 2017.
So if it was purchased in 2016 and then by 2017 it was in compliance, my impression is that you bought it and you didn't let any grass grow under your feet. You got the, whatever permits or whatever needed to be done to bring it into compliance over a period of a year, year and a half, what have you.
I believe it was a shorter period than that. This is a while ago, but
Okay.
from what I recall, it was only a matter of a couple of months from the time I took it over to bring it into compliance.
So, Counselor, would my thinking be correct in that if the fines started in, the period of fines we're looking at were imposed between 2012 and 2016, or 2017, when it came into compliance, and when it came into compliance, the fines ceased, and this is just something that sat there for a while, and
That would be
we're
correct.
correcting it today?
Yes.
Okay, so, and what I'm trying to understand is under those timelines, number one, why the fines accrued, and I think we know that because it was a bit abandoned, and that was basically had to do with the previous owner, and it sat for that period of time before Mr. Tarantini purchased it, and once he purchased it, he brought it into compliance, so the fines did not accrue as a result of necessarily his negligence or anything else. It was the previous owner, and then he bought it and he cleaned it up.
Which is always good news.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
great
was just trying to get wrap my head around the age of it and the timelines and everything else, so I could understand, potentially responsibility-wise, how this thing occurred and who would have been the more responsible party involved in not only the fines accruing, but the cleanup of the property.
That's a good question.
Okay.
Just so you know, the administrative fee is $1,184.20.
And how much?
$1,184.20.
Okay.
My point that I was trying to make earlier was that when someone goes to buy a property, you do your due diligence. I bought 3 homes in Clearwater since 1999 when I moved here. But you do your due diligence into seeing if there is liens on this property
Sure.
before you buy it.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So what I was asking was, what was your plan to take care of these liens? Was it just going to come to the board and
Yeah, I
say,
mean,
hey,
it's
can you?
essentially throwing myself on the mercy of the
Well,
court,
just-
so to
yeah,
speak.
That's fine, that's okay. I didn't know if you had made a contingency plan to pay these, or if you were just gonna come and, since you got it into compliance, you did everything you needed to do to get it out of accruing fines. So, no, that's that's all I was at.
But why 7 years later?
That's what I was gonna say. Why did you wait so long?
It wasn't as if the city was foreclosing it, so, I mean, again, I don't think I have a great answer for that question, but it did come to a point now where I did need to.
You were hoping it would go on.
No, I certainly know it wouldn't go away, believe me, I know that.
Maybe he was waiting for a friendly board.
Did you buy the property?
Was that it?
I'm
You're
sorry.
waiting until we got friendly board?
Did you buy the property at discounted value?
Yes, it was discounted value. There's also mortgage on it, which is a whole other,
And you worked your numbers with the violations laying on the house?
Well, I wouldn't work
You
my
had to,
numbers.
because you're an investor.
Yeah, I mean, it's always just sort of a risk analysis, I guess.
Well, at least you brought it in compliance.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
good.
No, that's great that
Yeah.
you got that all done as soon as you got the
I
property.
mean, this is why it comes before you. Otherwise, people wouldn't buy the property.
Right.
They'll
And
just sit there nodding.
And the lien, if I think.
Did you get a notice in the mail that said that, hey, you better get up here to talk to us, or?
No,
they're
no,
gonna-
I didn't. I just.
That's what I was gonna say, you know, you waited 7 years to come to us to,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, there was an
7
issue.
year itch.
Actually, you know what, now that I think about it, there was an issue with some litigation as to the estate. So there was, I think, probably wanted to settle all that before we really got into the code enforcement issue. But, and you know, not for nothing, but at the time, I think looking at the property appraiser value from 2017, it showed it at 66,000, the just market value. So I think that lien is about 7 times the value of the property at the time. So I guess I was hoping that, you know, we would.
It would just go away?
No, not that it would go away, but we'd at least be able to have a reasonable reduction.
Board, my position on this is that we won't gonna hit him with the 465,000. This is my position. I would ask for a little more than the 1184 of his administrative costs and cap it at an even $2,000. And that's just my recommendation.
What's the total amount of money are we talking about?
$465,500 is the total lien. Administrative cost is 1184.20.
There are also some outstanding hard costs that need to be
Yes.
paid.
There are abatement cases on this property,
So it's 2,500.
a little over $2,500 that cannot be reduced, so that wouldn't even come to you, so people.
Yeah.
I'll still have to.
So there are some additional amounts that do not come before you. It's $2,528.32.
And abatement's work done. When they abate a property, they actually don't do things on the property and work on it, so in case you haven't worked with the board before, but, so it's mow the lawn or whatever. It's paying for services.
Yes, he waited 7 years, but he did bring it into compliance.
Quickly, too.
Yes, and I'm all for just administrative costs. I don't think it should be any more than that.
I am too. I mean, the other thing I'm looking at is he took quite a risk on this property with that kind of a lien, and he did it anyway without consideration of, am I gonna win, am I gonna lose? He just did it, you know? And I'm assuming these abatement costs that are on the books are from before, not during his ownership.
Yeah.
All right, so he's also paying those.
7 years of ownership,
He's
so that
taking-
he's known that
What's
those
the
liens have
appraised
been.
value on the
What's
property?
the downside of that? I mean, what's
Today?
what's
I think
the?
the county has it at around 200,000.
You're an extremely bad investor.
Well,
we can't help
there
you.
has to be consequences for your actions. If you don't address something and just let it go, then it's not gonna go away. They did it for 7 years. So, you know, that's why I said the cap at 2,000. But it's up to the board, you know, whatever we all
Well,
decide.
Let's find a number we can work with.
You know,
1184,
2, you know, this is where we have to discuss between us. This is why we're here,
1,500, just a.
you know? Meet in the middle.
Well,
you
there's,
know.
I guess, there's a couple of us that favor the, what the 11, what is it? The
1184,
1184,
20
there's a couple like.
Can we make everybody
1,500?
happy with this gentleman's recommendation, 1,500?
Sure. It's what, you know,
I think it should be.
we'll put it to a vote and see.
I'll float it. I move to enter an order reducing the amount of the lien to administrative costs of $1,500 payable within 3 days? It's 3 days, right? 30 days. 30 days. Or the lien will revert to its original amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Can
Ayes
you live
have
with
it.
that?
I can live with that. Thank you
Good.
so much. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Don't wait so long next time.
It almost cost you.
Yes.
That's where I was going with it. You know, you just can't put stuff off. It don't
Yeah.
matter. 7 years, come on.
Exactly.
7 months, maybe? 7 years, no.
I think we were way too late.
Well, I mean, yeah, I
This
guess,
is
I mean.
That's abatement.
Yeah, that's what.
It's gotta pay those other charges.
So, all right, now on to nuisance abatement lien filing. 7.1 on our agenda has been withdrawn. 7.2 is continued from November 20th. Case number 164-24, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondents Gene Zulke at 115 South Orion Avenue for inoperative vehicle and issue an order with the compliance deadline and authorize the city to mitigate the violation if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No. Inspector Stevens, how you doing today? You have the floor.
Good afternoon, Board. Just for your information, this is actually going to be the next two case numbers, so 164-24 and 165-24, because there's a lot clearing case and there's an inoperative vehicle case on the same property, same owner.
Okay.
So I'm going to do them all in the same PowerPoint.
All right.
So good afternoon again. This is case numbers 164-24 and 165-24, reference 115 South Orion Avenue for a nuisance abatement. We have two violations here of Code Section 3-1503B7, B8, B10, B5A, which covers lot clearing, so overgrowth, unmaintained right-of-way, and accumulation of places of nuisances on the property, and then 3-1503B6 for the storage of an inoperable vehicle. This case has actually been going on a little while. I started it back in June, working with the lady trying to get the property cleaned up. She's elderly, she's got some health issues. We ended up trying to get her in touch with a organization called Tampa Bay Cares to try to help get the property cleaned up, but they have to be willing to accept the help. And I think where she was kind of going in and out of some medical facilities and stuff, they weren't having a whole lot of luck getting a hold of her and working anything out. So eventually it came to a point where I had to go back and post the property, and it was supposed to come to the November code board, but I had a conflict, so I could not make that work. Notice of violation was posted and mailed on October 24th with a compliance date of November the 2nd. Certified mail was never picked up. I talked to her one time on the phone since all this, and then I have not been able to get a hold of her again. Miraculously, though, even though I haven't heard from her through the whole thing with the hurricanes and everything like that, she actually tried to call me Monday evening and left a message in my office, and every time I've tried to call her back and left a message, she hasn't returned my call. So again, I'm not sure what's going on there. But you can see here in the picture, that's on October 24th, the day I posted it, so it's overgrown, limbs in the yard from some of the hurricanes and stuff, but the grass is well over about 1.5 feet high, posting there in the yard, and then the truck that you see in the picture is also the inoperable vehicle with the posting on the truck there. This was the posting for today's hearing, since we had to continue it from November's board, and that was done on December 4th. And then here is, again, what the property actually looked like on October 23rd when I did the initial posting. So you can see the overgrowth there on the sidewalk, some of the limbs in the yard, some pallets stacked up on the side of the house, along with some shopping carts in the back, and who knows what else back there, but it obviously looks very overgrown there on the side of the garage. There's an old bookcase that's laying in the driveway, and then some other items just scattered throughout the property. This was the vehicle on that date as well, and it's kind of hard to see the tag here, but when we zoom in on the next picture, you can see that it actually expired in February of 22. When I did get Ms. Zuki on the phone and spoke to her about this, this truck actually belonged to kind of a lived-in boyfriend that then passed away, and she hasn't been able to get the truck removed from the property, and obviously she doesn't really have legal standing to put a new tag on it, but she hasn't removed it from the property. This was on the compliance date. You can see nothing has been done. The tag is still expired. Everything is still overgrown, limbs in the yard. And then this is today. Again, nothing has changed at the property. With the tag still being expired, pallets and other things still laying about in the yard.
And no contact with her
No
since that
contact with her
initial?
since that message she left Monday evening. She has not returned any of my phone calls or anything since yesterday. So compliance can be met for the lot clearing by obviously cutting the grass to include the curb line, trimming back tree and bushes so they're not sticking out over the city sidewalk more than 4 inches, trimming the tree that hangs over the city sidewalk so it allows at least an 8-foot clearance for pedestrian traffic, and then removing any debris such as broken limbs, the bookcase, shopping carts, and other various debris from the property. For the inoperable vehicle, compliance can be met by either obtaining and displaying a legal license plate, which I don't think she would be able to do, maintaining the operable condition of the vehicle mechanically, and then or removing the vehicle from the property. And our recommendations for case 164-24 and 164-25 is we're requesting compliance 5 days after the board renders its order.
All right. Board, do you have any questions? I just want to, before we make a motion, I just want to state for the record that this motion will be for case number 164-24 and case number 165-24.
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry into the property, to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with a reasonable cost, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you, board.
Down to 7.4 on our agenda, case number 168-24, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondents Flat Rock Holdings Group LLC at 18,600 US Highway 19 for lot clearing and issue an order with the compliance deadline and authorize the city to mitigate the violation if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No. Inspector Maddox, you have the floor.
Take two together.
This is my first time.
Is this,
Welcome.
Thank you.
are you going to do the 7.4 and 7.5 together like Inspector?
Yes, I am. Yes, sir.
Yes, okay. So this motion will be for case 168-24 and 169-24.
Good afternoon, Board. Kevin Maddox, Code Compliance Inspector for the City of Clearwater. This is my first case with you. This is reference 18600 US Highway 19. It's a one lot. It's a parcel, two different parcels, one lot. It's at the corner of Nursery and US 19. If anyone knows, it's a place where there used to be a McDonald's and it was all leveled. There's one violation. It's a lot clearing for overgrowth, accumulation of weeds, debris, trash, and junk. It's accumulated over time. My first conversation with the owner of the property was approximately September 27th of 2024 by phone. He was nice enough to talk with me for a little while, seemed like he was going to take care of it, and follow-up phone calls resulted with no conversations. The notice of violation was mailed and posted on November 18, 2024. Compliance date was due December 2nd, 2024. I checked the certified mail today. It still shows in transit as of today. These were the initial photos. This is a close-up of both lot clearing violations so that it was legible. If you, just trying to go back from here to there. I started on one part of the parcel and I started sweeping around so it'll come from one parcel going to another, but it's all the same property. As you can see, the overgrowth on the one photo, the first one on the left, there are two very large concrete blocks. Don't know what they're there for. I don't even know if they can be removed without some really heavy, extensive machinery. But along with those type of items, there, as you can see, there's a couch that gets deposited. Over here, there's bags of trash. I think in the later photos, there's up to about 4 mattresses. It seems to be a good little deposit ground for, people can't see it because the weeds are so high. And as you go through this, the overgrowth is growing even into the asphalt. These were taken today. I put a cone out there, which is a 12-inch cone. As you can see, it overwhelms it. The mattresses are still there. Couches are still there. The excess trash is still accumulating. Compliance can be met by cutting all the grass and vegetation to include the curb line, sidewalk, and continue to maintain it, removing all the debris, trash, junk, and growth of vegetation. Recommendation for case 168-24 parcel 100 and 169-24 parcel 510.
request compliance 5 days after the board renders its order.
Does, Counselor, does that being in transit, does that affect anything? There was a mailing, he said, was still in transit as of today?
No, I think that we have a situation that's clear and evident. And
Okay.
so, yeah.
I didn't know if that was going,
No.
would matter. Okay. That's the only thing I had. Board, do you have any questions?
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city is to take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property, to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with the reasonable cost which will come a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you for your first time.
Thank you.
Next
Yeah,
case
Jim.
is 7.6 on our agenda, case number 170-24, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondents Frederick Picard at 1032 North Missouri Avenue for lot clearing and issue an order with the compliance deadline and authorize the city to mitigate the violation if the compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? Inspector Dixon, you have the floor.
Well, again, this is case 170-24 for 1032 North Missouri Avenue. There's one violation at this property for overgrowth and debris. Notice of violation was posted and mailed on November the 14th, compliance date 10 days later. I did start this process before the storms, but then since all the meetings got canceled, I reposted it in November. It's a vacant property that has multiple stop work orders. It appears to be abandoned. I have talked to the owner. He said this and other rental properties were damaged in the storm. He didn't have money to cut the grass, and he had to go to France until February. So we're forced, the neighborhood shouldn't have to look at this, so here's the condition of the property on the day of posting. And here it is this morning. No change.
Vintage TV out there in the front, what it looked like.
I disposed
One
of
of the
that. I
thick
took care of
ones.
that one.
That was nice of you.
Compliance can be met by clearing all overgrowth and debris from the property, and we're requesting compliance 5 days after the board renders its order.
Board, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Greg, the house is abandoned?
Yes, he bought it with the intent to remodel it, but he didn't get any permits. Now he's in trouble with the building department, but the house is in pretty rough shape. I'm not
Okay.
sure where he's gonna get it.
And he's in France until February, or until
Yeah.
February?
The last I talked, he said he had to leave the country until February to deal with something overseas.
It'll be nice and cleaned up when he gets back and there'll be a bill for it.
Right.
Maybe, maybe. Board, do you have any questions for Inspector Dixon?
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of the board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry onto the property, to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with the reasonable cost which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is 7.7, case number 172-24, accept the nuisance abatement lien for respondents Wojcicka, Sosano, and Media Salagi Jarda at 2036 San Marino Way South for inoperative vehicle, and issue an order with the compliance deadline and authorize the city to mitigate the violation if compliance is not met. Is there anyone here to speak on that? No. Inspector Simon, you have the
Good
floor.
afternoon, Board.
Thank you, ma'am.
We are here for case number 17124, 2036 San Marino Way. This is a residential abatement. Excuse me, number of violations, one for an inoperable vehicle. This original notice was sent out on 5/29/24 with a compliance date of 6/29/24. And a registered mail receipt was returned unsigned on 6/19/24. Excuse me, I have had no contact with this owner. The house is pretty much empty. Neighbors have been taking care of the property other than this vehicle. So I did repost this on 9/11 and just also on 12/2 because of the hurricanes. There's your vehicle. That's inoperable. I'll get you some better pictures here in a minute. That was the original posting right there. There's your flat tire up front. another flat tire up front. There's the unclaimed certified mail. This was today, flat tire still flat, other tire still flat. And compliance can be, excuse me, met by removing the vehicle from the property, airing out the tires, or obtaining a tag. I did not see the tag on the vehicles, it's backed up against the driveway, the garage.
There's no contact at all with them?
None at all. And I've been there multiple times, so. So request compliance 5 days after the board renders its order.
Board, do you have any questions about this?
I move to enter an order finding the respondent in violation of code and requiring the respondent to correct the violations within 5 days of board's written order. If the respondent does not comply within the time specified, the city may take all reasonable actions, including entry into the property to abate and maintain the nuisance and charge the respondent with the reasonable costs, which will become a lien on the property. If costs, fines, and fees remain unpaid 3 months after such lien is filed, the city is authorized to foreclose, collect, or settle such lien.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Go ahead.
Motion
Y'all
carries.
have a Merry Christmas and a happy, safe New Year.
You too, thank you. If there's nothing else before this board today, we will adjourn.
See you next year.
See you next year. Happy holidays,
Christmas.
everyone.
Happy holidays.
You too.